Everyone is talking about buying down mortgage rates. Should buyers actually do it?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when it comes to buying down the rate, it really depends entirely on the math. And most buyers never actually run the math. A rate buy down is a real tool, and in the right situation, it saves tens of thousands of dollars. But in the wrong situation, it's money spent for a benefit that never materialized. The difference is one calculation, and it takes about 5 minutes.
Why is the rate buy down conversation so relevant right now, specifically?
The rate buy down question is so relevant for 2 reasons. First, at current rate levels, a small reduction in rate produces a meaningful reduction in monthly payment. When rates were near historic lows, buying down half a point was almost a rounding area. At today's rate, it matters more. Second, and this is the one most buyers are missing, sellers in many markets are offering concessions to move properties, and those concessions can be structured as rate buy down instead of a price reduction, which means in some cases buyers can get a permanently lower rate without paying for it out of pocket. The question about whether to buy your rate down has gotten more strategically interesting, but it still comes down to math. And the math only works if you stay in the home long enough for the monthly savings to exceed the upfront cost.
What do most buyers get wrong about rate buy downs?
What most buyers get wrong about rate buy downs is they confuse temporary buy downs with permanent ones. They are completely different products and they get talked about like they're the same thing. A temporary buy down, like a 2-1 buy down, artificially lowers your rate for the first 2 years. Year 1 is 2 points below your no rate, year 2 is 1 point below, and then year 3 you're at the full rate. The seller or builder often pays for this to make the payment look attractive at signing. A permanent buy down, also called discount points, is when you pay upfront to reduce your rate for the entire life of the loan. 1 point costs 1% of the loan amount and typically buys down the rate roughly a quarter point in this market, again, depending on market conditions. Temporary buy downs can create payment shock in year 3 if you're not prepared. Permanent buy downs only make sense if you stay long enough. They're not interchangeable, and confusing the difference is how buyers end up in the wrong structure.
Walk us through how to actually calculate whether a permanent rate buy down makes sense.
Yeah, to determine if a permanent buy down makes sense, it's really one calculation, the break-even point. Step 1 is figure out what the buy down costs. On a $400,000 loan, 1 point costs $4,000. That buys your rate, let's say from 7 to 6.75%. Step 2, calculate the monthly savings. The difference in principal and interest at those 2 rates on a loan size is roughly $65 to $70 per month. Step 3, divide the cost by the monthly savings. $4,000 divided by 67 is about 60 months or 5 years. That's your break even. If you stay in this home longer than 5 years, the buy down saves you money. But if you sell or refinance before 5 years, you've paid more upfront than you've actually saved. The question is simple. How long do you plan to stay? If it's longer than the break even, the buy down probably makes sense. If it's uncertain, hold the cash.
Give me a real example where you've seen this play out in both directions.
Yeah, I'll give you 2 cases back to back. So first buyer, a couple buying what they described as their forever home. Long-term mortgage, 2 kids, not planning to move. We ran the analysis. Buying 2 points dropped their rate by half a point. Break even was 62 months, and they plan to stay 20 plus years. Easy decision, they ended up buying the points. Second buyer, a young professional buying a starter condo, clearly planning to move up in 3 or 4 years. His lender was pushing a 1 point buy down, describing it as a great deal. We ran the same math, and the break even was 58 months. He was planning to stay at most 48 months. He would have paid $4,000 up front for a benefit he'd never fully collect. So we kept the cash, and he used part of it to negotiate a better price instead. Same product, completely different right answer, based on one variable, how long they plan to stay.
Is there anything about the buy down decision people commonly overlook?
Yeah, one thing commonly overlooked is the opportunity cost to the cash. When you pay points, you are tying up cash in the loan. That cash could instead go towards your down payment, which affects your loan to value, even your PMI situation, and potentially your rate tier even without points. Or it could be your emergency reserve, which lenders and financial planners both want to see maintained. I had a buyer once who was so focused on buying the rate that he was going to drain his reserve fund to do it. At that point, the trade-off isn't just break-even math, it's financial fragility. A rate that's a quarter point lower doesn't help you if you have a major repair in a year and no cash to cover it. The buy-down analysis has to be done based on the context of your complete financial picture, not just the monthly payment comparison.
What's the most common buy-down mistake you see?
The most common buy-down mistake I see related to points is accepting points as part of the loan structure without knowing what they cost or why. I've reviewed loan documents with buyers who didn't realize they paid thousands in points because it was buried in the closing cost. They knew the rate, they didn't know what it cost to get there. Your loan estimate, which is the document the lender provides within 3 days of application, lists every fee including points. You want to look at line A on the loan cost section because it shows exactly what you paid for the rate you have. Read that section before you sign anything and ask your lender for a comparison. Same loan without points, same loan with points, and what's the break even? Honestly, any lender worth working with will have that analysis ready.
For a buyer in this process right now, how do they work through this with you?
So the best way to work through this with me is to take the home loan quiz on my site. I'll come back with a specific breakdown for your loan size and situation, including the buy-down analysis. Or call me directly. This is a 10-minute conversation with real math behind it. I'll show you the comparison clearly and we'll make the decision together based on your actual plan. Points are a tool. Whether you use them should be your choice based on the numbers.